Conspiracies. What are they? It is a way to change a conversation away from the facts we know. It's a useful tool. So that's a challenge. And how the word's used, how conversations are framed. See, in America, nation of laws, corporations are defined on paper. They're immaculately conceived through humans' interactions and bargaining. And on paper gives them rights and powers. And these things are called limited liability corporations. They're called public corporations. They're private corporations. They're for-profit corporations. There's a lot of ways, or nonprofits. They're corporations. Cities are corporations. It is about the liability for whatever's going on. Now, that one's a tough one to figure because it means, as somebody else pointed out, everything's open to being sued over, litigated over. The courts get tied up with some of these things, for better or worse, and they need to be resolved. But all the actions I've seen, all the things that have happened have had men we can identify making decisions. We have corporations with boards of directors working under the laws of the United States and state laws in order to exist. It's the only place these things do exist is in the courts and in our laws. Technically, you can't go after the individual at the head of the corporation. Limited liability corporations. Now, these are global entities, mind you. These are working under international treaties and law firms that specialize in just this. And I don't think any of them sit in an easy chair and talk about their life like this. So it's just business, right? So all I see is machinations of heavy industry, old wealth, accumulated wealth, false profits, and very little forethought into, or maybe a lot of forethought, because these corporations plan for decades. Something happened in accounting. It was this MBA bullshit. I used to have to write support for proposals that were long-term elements, and all of a sudden I'm writing requests for 30, 60, 90-day projects, return on investment in projects. That's just not how capital investment works. You don't ask for a 90-day turnaround. You're setting, well, you do if you're an MBA, because it makes perfect sense, this short-term nonsense. So there's conspiracies for you. The people writing the laws have left loopholes, have left Grand Canyons. They've been coached to do these. They're handed these pieces of paper they can't even read. The person occupying the White House can't read these things. Everything he gets and sees is filtered or screened or someone else's goddamn idea. None of them are his. He was enabled. He's a useful tool. He was enabled by names like Sheldon Adelson in his casino empires. Adelson was the prime investor behind Trump. He never lost. Never lost a step. Trump's got all the bankruptcies from his enablers because the profits they can tear off of this. This is long-term, how you plan, long-term goals and ideas. And I get pop music, but I don't listen to it. So there's your conspiracy. Your conspiracy is poorly constructed laws, poor tax laws that reward the wrong things, because tax laws guide the spending of this nation. That charitable contribution you get to deduct, that's a favor. That's a guide. That's trying to get you to do benevolent things. Those tax laws, the threats of lawsuits. This is libertarian America. Everything will be resolved in lawsuits in the courts. The fact is, these things shouldn't have happened to begin with. Some of these industrial accidents, some of these poor decisions like Flint drinking water should not have happened to begin with. Where's the laws on that? Remember the stories about emails and how outraged one political party was about it and still is and can't get over it? That political party had the clout for 6 years to change the laws governing the use of email services, email servers within federal and state, because it's interstate traffic. But no, this isn't what Republicans want to do. They want you to think that we're helpless. We're helpless. Go into those houses with steeples and get them to do something about it. Eh? Challenge them all. I'm Oregon. Check my senators out. We are investing in the state of Oregon billions of dollars in nuclear power plant operations. Yes, that's coming out of Bend. They're partnering with other universities to set up training centers for future nuclear plant operators. You see, these SMRs, these small modular reactors, need operators. They need 3 shifts a day, 3 to 7 operators. Remember, these things used to be hundreds of operators. Now they're just computers running these things. This is what they put most of the money into, is the controls and controls integration, to be able to let this thing just run without being, messed with by people, because they're so dangerous. So what is in that? That is gearing towards a 12-reactor SMR setup in Idaho. So, yes, they're small, but they're going to be bundles of nuclear explosions. One bad reactor has the potential to upset the spent fuel from those reactors, which will pile up in no time. Every 2 or 3 years, these are going to be refueled with more rods. This is what we're enabling, this stuff. But there is no conspiracy. They're operating under the constraints and guidelines of federal and state laws. Laws that guide this country much more than faith does. So there we are. Oregon's going to get 12 SMR small modular weapons strategically placed in Idaho, where 12-year-olds can marry. And our national labs are supporting this. Who's going to make money? Who's making? Are these profits going to go back into education? The commissioning documents for the original nuclear reactors, all 100 and some odd of them, promised the neighborhoods, the states, the sciences to understand what we were doing. 40, 50 years later, where is it? They're paying for proselytizing. They're paying for religious communities to be the only social choice in neighborhoods, the only choice for health care. This is not healthy. This is unbridled capitalism. This is libertarian ideals. This is dominion, because dominion and that ideal can drag along with the libertarian ideal and pretend that they're the same, but those goals aren't the same. So, conspiracies. We launched an advertisement for a car into space. It wasn't a conspiracy. That was an ego. That was, what were those 7 deadly something something that, oh yeah, religion caved into gambling long ago. They know. They get it. It's the law.